like you guys should have more, less ones that kind of condense and really get to the heart of it.
Yeah, I would say, this past season we had an initial order of 13 episodes, and then NBC picked up a back 3, so we had a total of 16 episodes. This would have been a very difficult show in season 1, I think, to make a full 22 episodes. We're trying to bring a different world to you each week. So in that regard, I was happy that 16 was about the max we could have done, I think, season 1. Maybe now we're going to do 10 this year, and so that allows us to tell a really compact story. I'd like to make more than 10 someday in a season 3 or season 4, but for now, I'm glad to have the extra 10. I was thrilled to have 16. Episode 17, season 1 may have killed me, may have killed you guys. So I'm glad 16, and I think you can do better work sometimes when you can see the finish line a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
By the way, check out the Lucy cosplay.
What?
Yes, I recognize that from the pilot. Well done.
Super that.
You're making all my dreams come true right now.
The shoes made my feet bleed. So I have a degree in history, so I was wondering if there's a part of history that you guys really nerd out about. Say that last part again? There's a part of history that you're really interested in and you nerd out about.
The Antebellum South. You're a big fan?
Huge fan.
Yeah.
I'll start. I had to do some family history about 10, 12 years ago, and I found out that I had relatives, multiple relatives, who were kids that moved to the Midwest via the orphan trains. They were Irish kids on the East Coast who got put on the orphan trains and sent out, and it caused me to do a deep dive into the history of the orphan trains, what became of a lot of those kids, and it's still an area that I'd love to do on Timeless at some point. But that's an area that, for personal reasons, has always fascinated me and just seems so emotional to me. These kids sort of, being sent out west and sometimes separated from their siblings, and some of them ending up in great situations, others ending up in bad situations. I encourage all of you to look up the orphan trains. It's really fascinating.
I would say I'm obsessed with blues music, and anyone who knows me, actually any fans of Supernatural out there.
I haven't heard of it.
Yeah. Neither. But I want to do the Robert Johnson story, which was a big thing about selling your soul to a demon at the crossroads and becoming a blues guitarist, and that was a big part of that show, and I want it to be a big part of this show. I'm really fascinated, and this is such an interesting story about the Mississippi Delta and sort of the birth of blues music in the 30s. So I would love to do that story.
I would love to explore more war stories. And for me, I have super high respect for military, not just because of this role, but previously. And I think that there's so many heroic stories that are told in times of war. You have average people from the long side of the train tracks that can end up being heroes in a very real way. So I always like seeing stories like that.
What? I don't.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, this is time difference.
Yeah.
Hi.
So as discussed, costumes are a big part of this show. If you guys were coming to Comic-Con to cosplay one of those costumes.
Emma Frost. Are you Emma Frost? Who are you?
Killer Frost.
Killer Frost. There we go. All right. Sorry.
Sorry.
Driving me crazy.
I would cosplay as Anakin Skywalker.
But from which episode would you play yours?
Like the Clone Wars Anakin.
That's a good choice. I think it's a good choice. It fits.
Star Wars does take place in the past, so technically we could
Don't go there.
go back.
That's an Easter egg. I'd be Deadpool. I think she's asking from the show. What costume? What's your favorite costume from Timeless last season that you would wear here today?
Oh, from the show?
From this show that's on.
From the NBC program Timeless.
Yeah, from the one you're trying to promote right now.
Oh, the show that we're doing.
Yeah, no, it's cool. Thanks for stumping for Clone Wars, Matt. But just saying, like, for Timeless.
I mean, I thought this was if we got to be on this side of things, cosplay ads. I like cowboy outfits. I like whenever we wear sort of cowboy, something near the end we had cowboy stuff, didn't we? The show? Jesse James. I loved what I was wearing as Jesse James. And I really liked my outfit in the
Alamo.
outfits. And then what?
Alamo.
At the Alamo. Yeah, I looked good.
I got you.
You loved her hat. Loved his hat.
No, I did not.
You liked it. You got to like
Did
that
he?
hat.
That hat, yes.
That was talking about. I don't remember. Sort of yes ending. Improv game.
Gordon.
Yeah, hi guys. Hey. Advantage of being a bad guy on this show is that I don't have a team that dresses me up and gives me costumes and stuff. So I show up in a Western episode wearing my high-tech gloves and smartwatch and machine gun, completely timed inappropriate. And I love that because I can always kind of like, it's really cold, I don't want to use these old leather gloves. I can just use my high-tech Gore-Tex, whatever, my 20th century boots in 18th century. It's kind of cool. I love that. I like mixing up the elements.
Doesn't Flynn wear his smartwatch and everything?
Yeah.
I saw somebody like tweeting about like, oh, I found a mistake. Ah, yeah. Flynn wears an Apple Watch.
Yeah.
Intentional.
And then next episode, Flynn shows up with a machine gun and a horse. It's like, mistake.
I really loved the 30s and 40s time period. I would say when we met Ian Fleming was one of my favorites. Also, the Bonnie and Clyde was pretty fantastic. Thanks again, Marianne Cheo. But I particularly loved for the historical reason the Lucy costume in the Jesse James episode because women did not wear pants at all at the time, and I loved how the fellas here incorporated that into the storyline because she's got to go riding with everyone, and Bass Reeves is like, a woman wearing pants. And we did all of this research that it was unheard of, and the only woman that we could find during that time period that ever wore pants was Annie Oakley. So I thought that was just a great kind of touch to the show.
I laughed a lot because of the dresses and then pants because I don't like wearing dresses very often.
Yeah.
Anyways, the thing that got me really into Timeless was like the period. Like you get to jump and everything because period dramas you're stuck in that one time period. But and then the comedic relief like Dr. Dre, Jackie's General Hospital. I was like, it was great. My question is, how much do you guys ever incorporate your own jokes into the comedic relief of the script? Because I know like a lot of comedy shows are like, somebody will just start kind of like rambling and then they're like, oh, let's put this in there.
Well, it is fully scripted show, and the guys write the comedic element beautifully. Sometimes things happen, and we go with that, and sometimes we'll have ideas and pitch it to them, like during the pilot. There was this moment that happened because we had been talking about playing into the klutziness of Lucy, finding moments of her true humanity and the fact that she's not a superhero and not a time traveler. She's a historian. And we were out on the airfield and with all these beautiful, 1930s airplanes, and I myself, I was kind of, casing Flynn, and then had to turn around and follow him, and I almost ran into the wing myself. And then Eric and Sean saw it, and we were like, I think that's it. I think that's, because it's a real thing, and so we just kind of tried to keep, adding that into the show, and how to be unique for each character, that each character has their own sense of comedy and how that weaves itself in.
Abby brings a ton of physical comedy stuff. There's a moment in the Watergate episode where she comes through a window to save Wyatt, who's tied up, and she takes this tumble and does this little somersault on the floor. That was not scripted. That's something that she and the director and everyone worked out. And then we sort of, I think, have a policy. We want the lines we write to be set to be available to us on film. But there's also opportunities. We get a couple as scripted, and a lot of times these guys will, find something to add or find something to do. Sort of, we've talked about a lot, but Malcolm, I believe you're up for a Teen Choice Award
For his hissy fit.
for his hissy fit. And that's partially scripted, but on the day we were filming that, what we had written was kind of working, but not exactly. And we encourage we're just kind of Malcolm. Come to whatever comes, say whatever comes into your mind. And so a lot of what ended up on film that you saw was, Malcolm as a whole, all the Michaels thing, So there are opportunities for these guys. We spend a lot of time on the scripts. We want, the stuff that's scripted. Having said that, you want, when you hire smart, funny people, you want to give them the opportunity to be funny and smart at times too.
But for the record, and that speech is a lot of fun because I think it allowed me to say crazy stuff that probably you guys would have felt weird saying being white.
I'm white?
Not to my neighborhood, man. One of us, but I also want to give full credit because people are always like, "Oh, are you ad-libbing?" These guys write all of the jokes that Rufus say. I don't really ad-lib at all any jokes on the show. Like that's completely these guys. I think I made one joke and it was cut. But that's all of whatever, regardless of delivery, all of what's written there, 9 times out of 10, probably 10 times out of 10 is these guys.
Hi, I'm Emily.
Hi, Emily.
My question is mostly for Lucy. Since your character is a historian, do you find like a lot of your free time is like you like scrambling to like learn all the different
My lines? Yes.
No. Yeah, but also just like to learn about what you're talking about. Is that a big part of your like other hours?
That was a huge draw for the show, for me wanting to be a part of the show. I mean, part of my desire in becoming an actor is to learn and to grow outside of my own experiences and also be an empathic kind of conduit for other people's experiences. And I feel like the show is the perfect encompassing of both. So that was part of it. It was like, I remember our first meeting, Eric was like, "You'll never be bored." And he was absolutely right. And I just love that I'm learning along with everybody. All the stories that they're researching and telling, they come across, we get our scripts, we read about them, and then it just creates more curiosity to learn more. So yes, and we are just spending a lot of time learning our lines too, but it's done both, and that's the greatest gift of being an actor and being on the show.
Hi, I'm Janelle, proud clock blocker. And my question is if you can tell us about diversity and inclusion in the writer's room and how that impacts the development of diverse characters.
Yeah, listen, this is a huge topic, I would say, in Hollywood over the last 20 years. And, this year actually marks my 20th anniversary of being on staff for the first time. And the very first television staff I was on was an all-white male writing staff. And when Eric and I got together and started talking about the kind of stories we wanted to tell, we realized that we needed different perspectives in the room. So I don't want to go through like a checklist of, oh, we've marked off this box or we've marked off that box, but I can safely tell you that we have people of color, we have women, we have a gay man on the staff, we have a lot of different perspectives on the show. And one of the, I would say, growths I've had as a showrunner over the years is sort of realizing when I'm hiring writers that the last thing I want is to hire someone like me. I want to hire someone that's not like me, that comes from a different place, that has a different background, that has a different life experience, because so often we find ourselves in a spot of writing a scene and asking, well, what would really happen here? And someone with more pertinent life experience than me speaks up in the room, and that's what goes in the scene.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
I would also say our cast, our full cast, we don't have all of our cast members here today, but I'm very proud of how diverse our cast is. I think it's one of the most diverse casts on television. That's really, really important to all of us. Woo!
Hello, I'd just like to say I really love Timeless, and I've learned many things watching the show.
Thanks.
So I just want to wish you guys a very long and successful future.
Thank you.
And speaking of the future, I was just wondering if maybe travel into the future is a possibility, or is it completely off the table?
I mean, never say never, but kind of never. I mean, it's just the show for us. We look at it, Sean and I, look at it a lot more as like a historical adventure than we do a science fiction show per se. Like the Time Machine is just the way to get us into all of these sort of historical stories, and it's so rare that the future's done well on TV. It's just, you can probably count on one hand or a couple fingers of like, it's always just some, shitty hubcap that's like slick and steel on a car. Like it's always bad. And so I don't think we want to do that. I think we love the research. We love that it's historically based. We love that we can teach the audience something. We love that we can present, as I said, sort of stories that are diverse and inclusive. And so, I mean, God willing, we're in season 7 or 8. Ask me again, maybe. But I don't think anytime soon.
You start doing supernatural numbers. 15th season.
Hi, my name is Ashley. First I have to say my friend is like the biggest fan of your show, and if she were here, she'd probably be dragged out because she'd be so close to you guys and she just loves you.
Good.
And
Good to hear.
she's just like a real life Lucy. She's the best historian I know. And my question is, what was an experience that really impacted your character, like changed them from the beginning of the season to the end of the season?
That's a question for all the cast.
I think for Wyatt, he goes through an arc of kind of by the end having to learn to let go. Maybe we don't really know what that means for him yet, because he kind of voiced those opinions in the last episode that maybe it is time to move on. But obviously he has his hang-ups with the death of his wife. So I don't know. I think it's just maybe letting go of some control for him and going maybe more with the flow, which is kind of interesting because, a mission-oriented guy who's all about control in the mission. I think he takes that into his life. And now he's got to learn that he's got to let go.
I think for Lucy, we talked a lot about at the beginning that it was, and it's even said to her in the show that she doesn't even want a salt shaker to be moved or spilled at any point. So her kind of hyper focus on just preserving history exactly as it was begins to shift over the season. I think one, because she starts to care about the people sitting next to me, and you start to realize that the relationship is so much more important, and then the bigger scope of what we learn about Flynn, what we learn about Rittenhouse, that the people become more important than the history. And I think we really shift that with Lucy by the end, because she's gonna have to shift her focus away from preserving history to potentially stopping Rittenhouse, which means letting timelines shift and different things happen.
I think a major change for Rufus's character was probably Space Race when he killed a man. Because I think up until then, Rufus, one, didn't want to be fully involved in any of the missions, and two, in some ways considered himself the moral compass. And I think when the person who considers the moral compass finally has to take an inward look at themselves and decide if they are doing everything right, I think it sort of colors the advice and how he handles everything from then on. I think that for me, as a viewer, as a person portraying a character, felt like, okay, this is a line he had never stepped. And I've said this to the writers a million and one times. The changes that my character has gone through have been immense and completely unexpected from what would happen episode to episode. I think a lot of the changes that my character went over, I would only expect to go over in the course of a season. And I've been fortunate enough to have a lot of these revelations within the course of a couple of episodes, continuously throughout the season. So it's been a great opportunity to be able to grow in that way.
Thank you. Very solid.
I'd say with Flynn, we start to believe that they're going to start seeing see things in the same light. In the Benedict Arnold episode, where you kind of hope they're going to really go back, they're going to kill the first Rittenhouse, and the problem's going to be fixed. And after that episode, when shit hits the fan and Flynn kidnaps Lucy, this is the first time that he really doesn't know what to do next, and he starts kind of losing control, losing faith, and from that moment on, everything is kind of like cracked in his armor. You know, it just doesn't know how to proceed, and it's like everything gets a little bit shaky. You don't know, is he more dangerous or sympathetic, and it's kind of like a little bit tricky to play that. But that was my main kind of intersection. So.
Hi to your friend, and thank you for your question. We wish she was here.
Hi, I'm Madeline. First off, I loved you on Mad Men.
Oh, thank you.
I love the parallel because you were a teacher there and now you're a history teacher, but anyway.
I have a thing, yeah.
Right. Well, and I'm a teacher.
I want to teach people lessons.
No,
Yeah.
I'm a teacher, but I wasn't when you were on Mad Men. Anyway. And it's kind of piggybacking off of what you had said about preserving time. So what is exactly the line for the characters of Rittenhouse is this big, bad, ugly, you're trying to preserve time, but you also have obviously figured out as characters you can go back and start tweaking things. So where is the line of morality of what you could change to get ahead of them?
I think you just pitched season 2.
I
Yeah.
know.
I have to use some of that.
Note to self. I mean, I feel like that's a question for you guys.
I mean, yeah. I mean, the real answer is that that's the ongoing debate of the show. How much damage are you willing to wreak to win in a battle or a war? That's, you know, it's really an ends does the ends justify the means? Do the means justify?
And we did an episode in season 1 where Wyatt went back and tried to change history as it related to his wife, and it didn't go as well for him, which starts bringing questions of faith versus free will, which is something that Eric has always pushed for ever since the pilot as something to examine. Yeah. So it's an interesting ongoing question that's in the series DNA, I would say.
Yeah, so the answer is there is no answer. It's the ongoing debate of what, that's what we like to explore as a thematic. So.
I think we have time for one last question.
Woohoo!
Yay! Hi, my name is Bettina. My stepmom did the costume. She did pattern making, so not the design.
Great. Did you text her and get clarity?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, great.
Yeah. No, and I'm recording it to show her.
I know exactly.
No, she worked on your costume specifically.
Oh, the most, yeah.
But my question is actually for Eric, because I've watched like Revolution and Supernatural.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, love them. And I wanted to know, this feels like it was such a different, like I feel like each of them feel different, like the tone of the show ends up being very different, so I was wondering if that was very difficult or if that just seemed like natural to change it up.
The tone of just the three different? Yeah, I don't, well, thanks, that's really nice of you. I don't like to, I had an opportunity after Supernatural to do like another horror thing, but I was kind of like, I did it, and I said what I wanted to say in that particular genre, and then Revolution was its own, genre as well, and so it's like, I love science fiction, you are my peeps, and this is where I belong, but, because I like that you can, really slip interesting observations about the real world, into science fiction in a way that if you did it in just a straightforward drama, it would be like Deadly Earnest, but you could really say really interesting, subversive things in science fiction. So that's why I love it. But I like so far anyway, I've liked jumping around from concept to concept, and I've wanted to do a time travel show for years without knowing what the story was going to be, but it seemed like such a cool idea to just go to a different time period every episode.
So easy to produce.
So easy to produce. So, and so no, I like, so far I'm having fun just exploring different areas and not repeating myself, and we'll see how long I can keep that up before I totally give up.
Can I say one last thing? Because you're about to wrap up. Just that video we shared at the very beginning of the event, Sony is putting that online.
Yes.
I encourage you to share that with your friends, tweet that out. We'd love the whole world to see that.
All right, and I also have one other thing too, which is, okay, so here's the truth, right? Like, you guys saved the show, and thank you. I wish I could say that like the job was done and we could all slap ourselves on the back and be done, but like, we gotta make sure, like I'm psyched about season 2, but I'm also thinking about season 3. And we're gonna be airing in 2018, and that's a lot of time off the air. And so the amount that we all, now that we're all in the same family now, right?
You're all time
inner circle. We're all a time team. So the extent with which you can tell your friends, bring new people to the show, you know, expose to what we think is like this great positive show that you can watch with your whole family and view of history, and just, you know, the more you can bring people into the time team, you know, and we can enlist you all as time team members.
Time team members.
The better off we will be when we're back on the air, and the better shot we got at a season 3.
Clearly, we can't do it without you.
Yeah,
So
that's very clear.
You, stop turning around. Take the shirt. You.
It's time to do it. Thank you so much for coming. Remember, season 1 DVD out September 19th, and season 2 next year.